Mr. Hewitt, why don't you come up and have a seat? Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
You're Trevor William Eugene Hewitt.
Yep.
Of course, we've met. I just need to make sure I identified you for the record. You have two matters going on here, and we're going to deal with one of these to free up your probation agent. And then we'll address the preliminary examination. Daniel, why don't you come up to the podium if you would? This is a probation violation petition that was filed in file 221963FY. It's a misdemeanor. It's reduced to domestic violence and attempted resisting and obstructing. The defendant was placed on probation in January of 2023 on those two misdemeanor offenses. The allegation is that you violated your probation by violating a criminal law of any unit of government, failing to report on a monthly basis, failing to abstain from fines and costs, failing to pay fines and costs. You did abstain from paying fines and costs and failed to abstain from the use of alcohol and drugs or take a test on demand. And he also alleges that you failed to participate in treatment as directed. His recommendation.
Your Honor, I think we discussed, that was made a while back, and
Yes.
per our discussion, I think I was just asking for time served because he has several days credit if you add them all up and just close the probation, revoke it at this point.
All right.
I think I have, since this original charge of 112 days, I think I have another 86 days, if my math's right, 65 in October and then 21 in August on other charges.
All right.
Or related charges.
Mr. Hewitt, you have a new charge, which we're about to start addressing here in a few minutes. You're not on probation on that charge, but you're on bond. The earlier probation, because of other issues and previous violations, has resulted in 186 days in jail. Originally, he was recommending that I imposed a very large jail sentence, but he ended up doing a bunch of jail in the meantime. So your probation agent's recommendation, if you acknowledge that you got a new criminal charge or failed to report or failed to do treatment, he would simply recommend we revoke this probation and leave the new case to stand on its own merits. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. George does not represent you on the probation violation. He's here with you on the other case. The original lawyer on the earlier cases was Mr. Gibson. In order to prove that you did violate your probation, we'd have to have a hearing. And you would be entitled to have an attorney where they'd have to show by a preponderance that you did violate your probation. However, you could also simply admit the violation and there would be no need for a hearing. What would you like to do, Mr. Hewitt?
I've already spoke with Dan, and the revocation and time served is probably what's best for me. I got a lot on my plate, as he mentioned. You know, I got a case upstairs and I got this case today, so.
Yes, you're on bond in circuit court, you're on bond in district court.
Yeah.
And as far as what we're gonna do as a probation, we've probably taken it as far as we can. So do you acknowledge that, I don't know if you've been convicted any of the new offenses, that you failed to report and failed to complete your treatment as directed?
Yes, Your Honor. I really would have liked to have gotten into the DV program, but it just hurdle after hurdle, and then I was in jail repeatedly. And like, I talked to Chelsea Myers about starting it, and she said, don't start it because you got a lot going on right now. And if you start it and you don't complete it, then you only get one shot at it. So I never got to start it.
All right. Other than what I said to you about Daniel's recommendation and my intention to follow it, did anybody promise you anything to get you to plead to this?
No.
Or threaten you?
No.
you've already exceeded the statutory maximum on the domestic violence charge. The resisting and obstructing charge does carry up to a year. Or 186 days jail. Right at 186. Wipe out whatever financial obligations are left. Your probation is revoked. Successful. All right, thank you, Daniel.
There you go.
Mr. Hewitt, let me take these files out. The only thing that remains is your aggravated stalking complaint, which we're gonna address. Ms. Davis, the people ready to go on that?
Warner, we need to address a bond violation in this case before we go any further. We are prepared to start the preliminary examination.
All right, well, let me take these files out and we'll be back and address our attention to this matter. Let's go on the record in the principal case set for today, which is file number 232254, People versus Trevor Hewitt. In that matter, the defendant is charged with aggravated stalking. The allegation is that on October 4th of 2023 in the village of Constantine, that the defendant did engage in a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuous harassment of Carly Harmon. The conduct being such that it would cause a reasonable person to feel intimidated, threatened, or harassed. Said conduct actually causing Carly Harmon to feel intimidated, threatened, or harassed. And at least one of the actions resulting in the offense was in violation of a restraining order the defendant had been on actual notice of. That is a felony punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment and a fine of up to $10,000 and a minimum probation of not less than 5 years. Defendant is also charged as a fourth habitual offender, making that, I believe, a offense punishable by up to life imprisonment. As Mr. Hewitt said in the previous record, he kept doing things to end up in jail. This matter was authorized by the prosecutor on November 29th. And was signed by Chief Thayer of the Constantine Police Department on December 5th. Defendant was arraigned by Judge Pattison on December 12th. That's not right. At any rate, Judge Pattison adjourned the matter from December 12th to December 26th. I was gone that day and it got adjourned again on December 26th. I can't tell exactly what happened. On January 2nd, we were here and I made a record. The defendant was not here. There was a signed stip from the prosecutor to adjourn the preliminary examination. I think somebody was unavailable. Matter was continued until this date. Defendant was on GPS tether. The matter is set for preliminary examination today. So somehow it morphed over from Judge Pattison's docket into mine. And here we are. Bond in this matter is set in the amount of $1,000 surety. As defendant indicated, he was on probation for domestic violence and attempted resisting and obstructing. There's a personal protection order in effect, or there was, and he's bound over to the circuit court in another matter. Ms. Davis, what's the status here?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the people became aware of a bond violation today at the courthouse, and the corrections officer, Vincent Bailey, advised that after I spoke with Ms. Harmon and she walked outside, Mr. Hewitt decided to go out there with Ms. Harmon, or in the area of Ms. Harmon, and the corrections officers saw him communicating with her outside of the courthouse, which is a bond violation. He signed the bond condition stating he would have no contact whatsoever with Carly Harmon. There are 2 other cases pending upstairs with her as the victim, and he has been in jail multiple times for these issues with having contact with her, threatening, intimidating. He's had significant mental health issues. And at this point, we're prepared to start the preliminary examination, but we would ask that the court deal with this bond violation first, such that Ms. Harmon is not very cooperative at this time, likely due, what we believe is to the continued contact with Mr. Hewitt. So I'd ask to have his bond canceled pending the outcome of the prelim. We can start the prelim today, but I would ask to continue it to another date so that I can speak with Ms. Harmon again. Thank you.
Mr. George, what's your position?
Your Honor, we would be prepared to move forward today. We've reset this. I know the first time was because of my trial calendar up in circuit court, and I believe Officer Crew was unavailable for a period of time, and that's why we had adjourned it to today. My client's ready to get this going, get this over with. He's had this matter as well as the other 2 matters upstairs hanging over him. I know that I understand what Ms. Davis had just said. Obviously, I was not there. I didn't say anything myself. But what I would say is I know it does always put clients in an awkward position when there is some type of active bond condition or PPO in place and then they're in the same place. So I don't think that it's appropriate at this time to cancel my client's bond. I think an admonishment from the court would be sufficient. I think he's aware of what type of conduct is acceptable and what conduct is. Thank you.
Well, he certainly is. And he told me as much. I'm going to continue to see her no matter what you say or do.
Afterwards, yeah.
What?
After this is all done and over with, I mean,
All right, well,
it's gonna be a long process, Your Honor, but I do plan on reconciling with her. I saw her outside, but I didn't talk to her. It's.
all right, well, don't say any more about it.
Yeah, I don't.
All
I
right,
don't-
stop. There may be video or something we could review. It would also be a violation of your 2 circuit court cases, but I don't have jurisdiction over those. And it just happened, so Ms. Davis hasn't had an opportunity to file any bond petition in the circuit court. But where we are right now is you're prepared to start the preliminary examination, but you're not clear whether you can complete it without the cooperation of Ms. Harmon. She's been hot and cold. So the question is, am I canceling a bond on a case that isn't going to get bound over? But let's go as far as we can here, and then I can make a decision on what to do with the bond. And you may want to view the video and see what that shows. Can you, Michelle, ask them to cue that up? Is there any of it on video?
I believe there is video. I asked them to preserve
All
it.
right, thank you. All right, then let's begin the preliminary examination, the matter of People versus Trevor William Eugene Hewitt. This matter's been kicked the can down the road for weeks and weeks. Mr. Hewitt, I believe, was here every time. On the original day, on the Tim George attorney conflict day, on Max Kuhn conflict day. And so today is the day for the hearing, and he always expressed that he wanted to have the hearing. So let's see how far we can go, Ms. Davis, and then we'll address the bond further.
Thank you, Your Honor. People will call Officer Max Kuhn.
Good afternoon. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat and state your first and last name for the record.
My name is Max Kuhn, Maxcoon.
Officer Kuhn, where are you employed?
Employed with the Village of Constantine, the Constantine Police Department.
And are you a police officer?
I'm a police officer. I've been employed there for almost 7 years.
And were you on duty on November 7th, 2023?
I believe so, yes.
And I guess going backwards, had you been made aware that Carly Harmon wanted to have police contact on or about October 4th, 2023?
Yes, I would received. I'm sorry, can you restate that question?
So did you have contact with Carly Harmon?
I did have contact with Carl Harmon before, yes.
And tell me about that.
I received a dispatch complaint for regarding a welfare check, where the caller informed dispatch that he was concerned for Carly Harmon, or the call was concerned for Carly Harmon. I arrived where I met with Carly Harmon and another male individual there. After speaking with her, they said everything was fine. And at that time, she informed me that she received multiple phone calls from a number that I don't recall the number off the top of my head, but she received multiple phone calls from a specific number.
And where did you make contact with Carly Harmon at?
I made contact at her apartment at on 200 Meadow Lane.
Is that in the Village of Constantine?
It is,
And that's in St. Joseph County, Michigan?
yes.
So after speaking with Carly, did you have anything else further in the investigation?
Regarding the welfare check, no, there's no concern for her welfare. The phone number that I had previous contact with her where I understood that Mr. Hewitt had a no contact or PPO violation. I received the number that she gave me from her telephone, and I contacted dispatch, and it matched the same number that she had received multiple times. And looking more into that, while I was speaking with her at her apartment, she informed me that Mr. Hewitt was.
Your Honor, I would object as to any statements that you made at that time.
I'm not sure where he's going with this. I can maybe clarify the question. Were you standing with Miss Harmon at this moment that you're talking about?
Yes.
For getting a phone call?
Yes.
Okay. And without saying what she said, what did you observe? Did she receive a phone call while you were there?
I can't recall. I have to look at my report.
Okay. And you mentioned Mr. Hewitt. Who was that?
That was a boyfriend at a previous time that I know of.
Had you had contact with Mr. Hewitt and Ms. Harmon previously?
Previously, yes.
And the person that you believe to be Mr. Hewitt, is he here in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you point out what he's wearing and describe him for the record, please?
He's wearing a dark color hoodie and glasses with black brim.
Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you do any checking on whether there was a personal protection order protecting Carly Harmon?
Yes.
And what did you find out?
I checked our law enforcement information network, and I was informed through that there was a personal protection order protecting Carly from Mr. Hewitt.
And as part of the conditions of that personal protection order, was there a prohibition from him appearing at her home or calling or contacting her?
Yes, I believe there's a no contact, not to contact her.
Based on what you found out from Ms. Harmon, did you go and speak with Trevor Hewitt?
At a later time, I did, yes.
Okay, was that on 11/7/23?
I believe it was.
And where was he when you had contact with him?
He was lodged at the St. Joseph County Jail.
And tell me about that contact.
When I met with him, he agreed to speak with me, and after reading his Miranda rights, I brought up the call that took place on October, and he informed me that it was him that was calling.
And so he admitted he was calling Carly Harmon?
He admitted that he called dispatch regarding the welfare check, and that phone number matched a phone number that Carly showed me that had called her multiple times.
And did you ask Mr. Hewitt about why he was calling?
I did.
Well, I'm a little confused. So was it Mr. Hewitt that called Central Dispatch and asked for the welfare check of Miss Harmon?
Yes.
All right. So he acknowledged that he made that call?
Yes.
Did he acknowledge that he called Miss Harmon?
Without reviewing my report, I can't say off the top of my head.
Your Honor, may he review his report?
Yes, he should have reviewed his report before he ever showed up here to testify.
Is your memory refreshed?
Yes, it is.
All right, and so what do you know about Mr. Hewitt's calls to Carly?
When I asked him if he had spoken to Ms. Harmon, he mentioned that he speaks to her all the time.
And did you ask him to elaborate on that because there was this PPO?
Yes, he told me that he is going to always contact her and that he didn't give a fuck what the law says.
Did he continue on talking about his case with her? As in, had he had any other contact besides just phone contact with Ms. Harmon?
Oh, he said that he was released from Bronson Behavioral Health Hospital. And once he was released from there, he went to stay with Ms. Harmon.
And so he indicated that he went to her apartment after he was released from the mental hospital?
Yes.
When
When-
was that?
When was the date that he went?
Yes,
That I'm not sure of.
approximately when?
It was going to be after October 4th. The welfare check came from, the original call came from the Bronson Behavioral Health Hospital.
And so just to clarify, the calls to Ms. Harmon were also from this Bronson Behavioral Health
That's correct.
number? And Mr. Hewitt confirmed that he was the one talking to Ms. Harmon from the hospital?
He confirmed that he called Ms. Harmon from the hospital. Yes.
And then his statement to you was that after he was released from the hospital, he physically went to Ms. Harmon's apartment?
That's correct.
And what apartment is he talking about?
The apartment at 200 Meadow Lane, apartment number, I believe is 14.
And did he indicate that he knew that there was a personal protection order in place?
Yes, he was aware. I'm the one that served it originally to him prior to this incident.
No further questions at this time.
Good afternoon, Officer Kuhn. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
You indicated that you served the PPO, Mr. Hewitt?
I served, I believe it was a PPO. There's a confusion between the PPO and bond conditions at the time, but yes, I served him, informing him that he was not allowed to see Ms. Harmon, and I gave him a copy of the order.
Do you believe that that was a bond conditions for a criminal case, or do you believe that that was a PPO?
It was a separate incident. I'd have to look at that actual case to see exactly which one, but I believe it was a PPO.
Were you able to review the actual physical PPO itself
At that time, prior to this event?
prior to this case? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Do you know that if you were the one that served it?
I did serve it, yes.
Okay, all right, just want to clear that up. So when you met with Mr. Hewitt, where? Where'd you
prior
meet
to
with
this
him?
event, sir, or
In November.
in November at the St. Joseph County Jail.
Okay. Do you know what he was in custody for?
At that time, I don't know exactly why he was there. I know that he had an upcoming case that day that he mentioned.
Okay. Did he advise that he was represented by counsel in that case?
He did not. I did read him his Miranda rights and he agreed to speak with me.
Okay. Were you able to check with jail staff to see what the circumstances of any case that he had at that time were?
I did not speak to them about any upcoming cases.
So you were just able to find out that he was in custody at the jail, is that right?
Correct.
And then interviewed him at the jail, is
Yes.
that right? Didn't really inquire about what the circumstances of his being in jail were, but read him his Miranda rights, is that right?
He was in custody, so yes, I read him his Miranda rights.
After November 7th, did you have any further contact with Mr. Hewitt?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything additional, Your Honor. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was
Sorry.
making sure that you were ready. Officer Kuhn, when you spoke with Ms. Harmon with this welfare check, can you describe her demeanor or what her reaction was?
She seemed, when I first appeared, she seemed confused as to why I was there regarding the welfare check. She seemed overwhelmed, frustrated.
And as far as her being
Let
frustrated,
me stop you for a minute. This is, I guess, form of swatting. He calls from Bronson Behavioral Health and says, I need a welfare check on Carly Harmon. What was at jeopardy with her welfare? When you got the dispatch to go there, did you get any information on what it was you were checking on?
According, the caller claimed that when he calls Carly Harmon and that another male snatches a phone from her hand, and that he was concerned for her well-being.
Okay. Do you know if those 911 calls were preserved?
I did receive a copy of the 911 call, yes.
Oh, thank you. All right, that gives me a little more context. Thank you. Go ahead.
what was your understanding of Ms. Harmon's relationship with the other male individual that was at her apartment when you went for the welfare check? If you have any understanding of it.
I don't know anything about her personal life. She didn't seem to be in any distress, and she didn't indicate if they were in a relationship or not with me.
And regarding the calls that she had been receiving from Mr. Hewitt, do you know how many calls and how close in time they were?
I do not. She showed me her phone just by providing and showing it to me like such, by putting the phone in front of me. And I saw multiple numbers, but I didn't count how many, and I wasn't able to obtain a copy of all the logs.
And what would you describe Ms. Harmon's reaction to these calls?
Frustrated.
Do you remember what time of day these calls were coming?
I was dispatched at in the morning, so I can't tell you exactly what time these calls were made, but according to her, I believe that they were made that morning or somewhere, but I don't have anything that says that.
No further questions.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Officer Coon. You can step down.
Thank you.
Do you have any other evidence to present at this time?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right, you're asking for an adjournment?
Your Honor, I would like the opportunity to speak with Ms. Harmon again when she has not had contact with the defendant.
She is here pursuant to a
She
subpoena?
was here pursuant to the subpoena. I don't know if she's still here or not.
Do we know whether she's still here?
She's gone.
She left
Yes.
with your permission, or she just got mad and left?
Well, there was some confusion because we talked before and then there was the bond violation and then we did not get to speak after that.
Bond violation in circuit court,
In this,
this
in the
case?
parking lot.
All right, well, so she was here today
Yes.
and this was set at 1, so you saw her sometime during the lunch hour?
I saw her about 5 minutes to 1, I would say, and spoke with her.
All right, and then she left?
She went out, yes, Mr. Hewitt was in the hallway and I walked out with her. And then she went outside and Mr. Hewitt went inside. So I guess, I mean, as an officer of the court, obviously I can tell you what I believe would be shown on the video and from the
Well,
statements, but
I'm not unwilling to continue it. The issue is he's gonna sit in jail if you get what you asked for in the meantime. I don't know how far you got with the witness. I guess your contention is that she was here ready to testify. Mr. Hewitt went out and talked to her and she left before you ever got a chance to speak to her.
that's not accurate. I did.
Well, was
speak
she
with her.
willing to testify here today?
She was going to get on the stand if I asked her to get on the stand. And there was concern because of the hostility and her issues with contact. She was not in a good place today to be able to testify. And then with his behavior.
Well, I wish
after
she hadn't left. I mean, she was here under subpoena and then she just drove away.
I think that there was, I guess, I don't know how much I can really get into on the record, but the concern was that she wasn't going to testify truthfully today because she was angry and had had contact with Mr. Hewitt.
Who was she angry at?
The system. Her rights were terminated to her child.
I'm aware of that. So at this point, she's not particularly cooperative in any of these pending cases.
Correct.
She did get a personal protection order, and there were allegations of domestic assault. As you know, the defendant was on probation for domestic assault, and he acknowledged a domestic assault. Then she would continually reconcile, or I'm not sure what the right term is, his testimony as he got out of the hospital and went back and stayed at her house while the PPO was in effect and while bond conditions were in effect to prohibit contact.
No, there was no bond at the time, Your Honor.
All right, correct. Then that may be accurate. Then that resulted in some of the other charges. She did testify at least one previous preliminary examination. Have you seen the video?
No, I physically walked outside.
Yeah, why don't you go take a look at it, you, Mr. George, and see what it shows, and then I'm not unwilling to grant you a continuance. The question is, do I cancel his bond? I guess I want to know what happened. So let's take a recess. You guys can go view it and then we'll see what we need to do.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can I speak freely, Your Honor?
I'm not unwilling to talk to you, Mr. Hewitt, but your lawyer's not here. You and I have always been able to speak to each other in a
Yeah.
civil manner, but I don't want to talk to you without your lawyer being here, so. Let's wait a minute and see what they can tell us.
I just wanted to let you know that like
But don't say more about it.
No, I'm not talking about the case right now. I'm just saying like I'm making steps in my life to better myself, man. And
Well, I'm all in
I've been
favor
staying on a
of that.
friend's couch for right now, but things are looking up for me and, you know, I'm trying my best.
All right.
I really am. Like my lawyer said, man, it's really hard seeing her here and
All right, hold
it's
up.
just. I want to be one of them couples, 50 years from now, looking back on this.
All right, well, that's
I
probably,
really hope so.
let's just hold up.
Use the restroom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome.
Keep an eye on things out there. I don't want to have any other issues. We didn't think you were leaving, but. All right, we're back on the record. I tried to check the circuit court status of the cases upstairs, and the system's been broken for 5 months, and I can't get into it. I just sent a frustrated email because this happens to me all the time. There's another way to do it, but it's much more cumbersome. So I don't know the status of the defendant's bound over cases. We have returned, the prosecutor had given some preliminary evidence regarding a violation of the defendant's personal protection order. In fact, the officer testified that he was there when the calls were received. Defendant acknowledged to him that he made the calls. Defendant acknowledged he went back to that address, and Officer Kuhn was aware a personal protection order was in effect because he had served it on the defendant. And the defendant was aware the personal protection order was in effect. The parties were going to go view the video of something that transpired earlier this afternoon. Ms. Davis, did you have an opportunity to do that?
Yes, Your Honor.
What does it show?
Your Honor, the video shows me walking Ms. Harmon out past security. Mr. Hewitt was in the hallway at that time, seated. And after she walked out, and I stood there for a moment to make sure she made it outside without being bothered by Mr. Hewitt.
Why did you walk her out?
Because Mr. Hewitt was sitting in the hallway staring at her.
Well, why didn't we put her back in your office or something?
Your Honor, she did not want to cooperate, and it seemed very clear that it was based on her continued contact from Mr. Hewitt. I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with her at this point, and I needed to talk to Officer Kuhn, who was in the back. Not even a minute from when I stepped away from the security desk, Mr. Hewitt went outside the same way that Ms. Harmon had gone. And on the video, there's two separate videos from the angle. He was speaking with her, and Corrections Officer Bailey went out there and saw them having communication, although they were standing probably 10 feet.
Despite repeated warnings, restraining orders, and probation terms, Trevor Hoot continued to contact his ex. Even in the courthouse itself, he couldn't stop. For the judge, this was the final straw, and Trevor was about to learn that second chances had run out.
10 feet apart, perhaps trying to look like they're not having communication. So at this point, he has contributed to the unavailability and hostility of this witness, which is the key witness in all of his cases. And the testimony that has been provided thus far in this case, probable cause purposes, maybe it's enough to bind over. Was it threatening, intimidating, harassing behavior? We don't have her here to say that today at this point, but it was a direct violation. It was knowingly a violation by Mr. Hewitt. And he's so brazen to do it today while we're all here at the same courthouse. I don't know what else to do. If the court's not gonna bind it over without her testimony here, then I would ask to
Well,
have some
all right,
time.
there's there's enough probable cause from the testimony of Officer Kuhn to believe that he violated the restraining order. I'm troubled in that she was never going to testify today regardless of what happened, because she had already been released, or I'm not sure, but she was leaving. She wasn't going to come in here, and I wasn't going to have an opportunity to speak to her. So she never was going to testify. And I'm embarrassed that they were able to have contact with each other out in the hallway.
It wasn't in the hallway, it was outside.
No, I believe you said he was sitting there staring at her in the hallway.
Yes, he was.
Well, that,
As you're aware, there is a window into our waiting room
oh,
that has a
okay, so
direct
she
value.
was in your waiting.
She was in our waiting room,
Oh,
yes.
all right. Well, that's better. And then at some point she got up and walked out of your waiting room?
Met with her back in my office and we discussed the case and what's going on. And she then walked out and I saw him still sitting there. And so I walked with her out past security and waited until she walked outside. And then I walked back in to go talk to Officer Kuhn. And within 2 minutes, Corrections Officer Bailey was coming in saying, you need to know that they're having contact outside.
Officer Bailey, would you come up to the podium, please? Right there. Good afternoon. Would you state your name, please?
Vincent Bailey, sir.
Please raise your right hand. Swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Officer Bailey, you are a sworn deputy assigned to a bailiff duty in this court, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And other courts here in the courthouse. You've been present when Ms. Davis was relating to the court what happened. Did you see the defendant follow the witness, Carly Harmon, out into the parking lot?
I did, sir.
All right, tell me what you did.
I was actually coming in from bringing some individuals from the jail to here. When I came in, I was given instruction to go and find, I'm sorry, I forget your last name.
Ms. Davis.
Ms. Davis, because there was notice of those two conversating through the cameras. So I went to find her to let her know what I was instructed to pass on.
So did you actually see them talking out in the parking lot? I just saw it through the camera.
Once I made contact with her and we walked outside, the individuals were roughly 10 feet apart diagonally. Did I see them verbalizing at that particular moment? No, but I did view the footage and you can see Ms. Harmon? Ms. Harmon, where she was standing, you could see her verbalizing, but she was standing by herself. Then you have to look at the other camera angle. And the only person she could have possibly been talking to would have been Mr. Hewitt.
All right, thank you. Mr. George, you have any questions, or Ms. Davis?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. George, what's your position? I guess a couple issues. Are you moving to bind based on the testimony you have? Or are you asking to continue the matter? And then if so, well, yes, I'll ask that.
Your Honor, I'm asking to continue the matter so that I can speak with Ms. Harmon and hopefully secure her attendance at a future hearing.
All right, Mr. George.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I did have the opportunity to review the video. Obviously, there's no sound. There are two different cameras and you can see the two individuals outside on the same side of the building. In viewing the video, one of the things that I'm having trouble with is Ms. Davis had indicated that it's my client that is causing her to not want to cooperate, not want to be here. But, and maybe I viewed it once, so please afford me a little bit on that. But from what I understand, she's outside, she's smoking a cigarette, and she's texting, and then it ends once she gets picked up by a vehicle. Obviously, that wasn't driven by my client, so it looks to me like she was leaving. So, I think that, my argument would be, I don't think there's been anything that's established that my client was doing anything to try to prevent her from testifying today. I think that we need to have a hearing and probably need to hear from Ms. Harmon if we're going to take the step of taking my client's liberty away and putting him in custody until we have the second part of this preliminary examination.
Good thing we got a lot of time because we don't have anything else. All right, let's do a little history lesson. In file 221963FY, Mr. Hewitt was charged with resisting and obstructing police officers and domestic violence. That is the case that the defendant was on probation on, that was the subject of probation violation hearing earlier. The defendant did 186 days of total jail in that case. That incident alleged to have occurred on October 4th of 2022, and he was charged at that time as a fourth habitual offender. He entered a plea to attempting to resist or obstruct a police officer and assaulting Carly Harmon. He was placed on a probation, which included a number of things, including no contact with Carly Harmon. And a record was made earlier today where that probation was revoked. Next in line is file 231829. That is a aggravated stalking case and fourth habitual offender alleged to have occurred in August of 2023 in the village of Constantine. And the complaining witnesses, investigating officers, were Chief Dan Thayer and Max Kuhn. We had a preliminary examination that was began on November 7th. And it was continued until November 14th. And there was an issue about who or when the probation officer, when the PPO was served. But on that day, the preliminary examination was finished. It was established the defendant had been served with a personal protection order. The matter was bound over to the circuit court on November 14th. Bond was $5,000 cash or surety and had not at that time been posted. I believe once the defendant was bound over to circuit court at some time, that bond was posted. Now, bear in mind, the incident in that case is alleged to have occurred on August 14th of 23. The incident in this case was October 4th. The defendant was bound over on November 14th. There was another felony case, 231828. In that case, it was a domestic violence case and charged as a third offense. And that allegedly occurred on July 6th of 23 in the city of Sturgis. And we were dealing with that on October 31st. It was a plea offer. Defendant declined. We set the prelim for the stalking case for November 7th. It was continued. We set the prelim of the domestic violence case for November 14th. And Ms. Harmon did testify, and the defendant was bound over on November 14th. So we had a domestic violence that allegedly occurred in Sturgis on July 6th. It took some time to get that matter to court. That prelim was held on November 14th, and the defendant was bound over to the circuit court. In the next incident in time was the August 14th incident of stalking. Preliminary examination was held in that matter. Ms. Harmon testified. The defendant was bound over to the circuit court on November 14th. The next incident in time is this incident, which October 4th. Officer Kuhn went to the sheriff's department to talk to Mr. Hewitt, according to the affidavit, on November 7th. And then he submitted it for a warrant on November 29th. So the prelim had been held on November 14th. This got submitted to the court in early December. And I would note in every one of these cases that I've mentioned, he has a no contact provision as part of his probation. He has a no contact provision with Carly Harmon as a part of the domestic violence case from July 6th. He has a no contact provision from the stalking complaint of August 14th, and he has a no contact condition in effect from the incident of August 4th. So the matter was bound over after preliminary examination on those two cases on November 14th. We took testimony, I recall it. Very close time after that, there was a hearing in the family court, in which case Ms. Harmon lost custody of her child. In fact, lost parental rights. In part because of all of this. So, and so did Mr. Hewitt. That's as hard as it gets.
Yeah.
And so at that point, then this case got adjourned a couple of times, once because Mr. George was in trial, once because Officer Kuhn was unavailable. There were the holidays, and now here we are. And the indication would be as of October 4th, he was violating the conditions of his bond and his probation. And as of today, he was violating the conditions of 2 circuit court bonds, 1 district court bond, and 1 district court probation. And the defendant is bound and determined to have a relationship with Ms. Harmon. I don't know which side of the line she's on at this point, but the court looks pretty foolish when we keep ordering not to have any contact from a personal protection order, from a probation order, from a bond in a stalking case, from a bond in a felony domestic violence 3rd case, and this new stalking case from October 4th.
Your Honor, can I speak?
No. So
She tried to get rid of people.
I'm offended by that. It makes us look foolish. But I'm also offended by bullying you into some sort of a plea by locking you up. Because I don't think she's gonna cooperate 2 weeks from now any more than she did now. But I also believe there's probable cause to support a bind over based on the testimony that I heard today. Mr. George, if you want your client to speak, I'll hear him. If you want him to not, I'll defer to anything else you have to say.
It's just. I went outside. Can't help but look at it from her perspective, with everything going on. I hate that she's going through what she's going through. I hate it. I did want to say something. Can I just, Your Honor, when I spoke to David Tomlinson, he said that I was awarded a visit with my son. And if I made bond, that I would have a visit with my son. I've been in contact with Heather yesterday, and I have to talk to and Chelsea Myers about doing a scrapbook for my son and possibly seeing him one last time before he goes up for adoption. And I just want to say, if like my bond's canceled, I can't do that. And I'll be right down the street and I'd actually have an opportunity to get to see my son. Maybe take some pictures of me and him for the scrapbook. It's really big. Even though they say he's been gone so long that it would be pointless of me seeing him, I still want to see him. I don't think that's a good reason that he's been gone too long. To hug my son would be really awesome.
I didn't review the record of the family court case, but I do believe that your rights were terminated because you failed to comply with all these bond conditions and personal protection orders. There are multiple allegations that you were assaulting her and she declined to stop contact with you, which resulted in the termination of your parental rights.
Yeah.
That's about as sad as it gets. So I'm gonna continue this preliminary examination until January 30th at 1 p.m. to allow prosecution to present additional evidence. Bond is canceled.
Do what?
It's canceled. You're going to jail.
Why?
I don't
What?
want to argue about it. I'm not happy about it either.
It doesn't help anybody though.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't help me at all. Your Honor, please.
Please remove the defendant from here. I don't want to argue
I got
about
a
it.
backpack over here.
Might be not gonna cost me a problem right now.
No.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, is there,
Feel it?
please, is there a
Come on,
chance?
we gotta go.
The answer is no.
She got my attention out there, man, and
Yeah,
You
you,
ain't
I
what am I
just,
supposed to do?
I just got your attention also.
Trevor. You don't want him to add one
I'm
month.
trying to dig a hole, man. I'm just trying to stay out of jail and see my son.
He has dug a hole. As I indicated, he violated a personal protection order, a probation condition, 2 felony bonds, and this bond. Ms. Davis, if you're serious about this, you'll be filing petitions to revoke his bond in the circuit court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Bond is canceled.
Do what?
It's canceled. You're going to jail.
Why?
I don't want to argue about it. I'm not happy about it either.